Oh no. Oh, that went terribly, Jaychele. I've run out of ideas. My thing started malfunctioning.
Oh no.
I was in such trouble there. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the Jaychele and Joe show. I'm Joe. That is Jaychele. Jaychele, how are you today?
I'm great. I've got some really, really good news these past couple of days. So I'm in a really good place. And somebody DM'd me and sent me a suggestion, and they told me that I should have Shoot create a intro for me like Mercedes entrance.
In what way? In what part of the entrance are we talking about here? Because there was a lot going on in the entrance.
I'm gonna send you a screenshot of the DM.
Okay. All right. Cool. Are we allowed to tell the people yet about, the news and you signing with Impact or? Well,
What?
like I don't. Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm kind of surprised you took the gig to manage Bully Ray on TV. It's kind of wild way to start, but whatever you want. I mean, I'm here to support. You know that. Always have been. All right. So, but good luck on that front. We'll talk about when you debut this Friday at Hard to Kill. Are you watching Hard to Kill?
I don't think so. I got asked to appear on another wrestling platform.
My God, can you talk about it, or is it kayfabe?
I don't know. The person asked me for dates and never responded once I gave them a date, so I don't know.
My God, rolling like Rocky Romero. That's crazy. Do we have a working agreement with this platform, or are they an outlaw rival firm?
Rival firm.
Oh my God! Look at this. You can't. You see what I'm saying, Jaychele? People wonder why I'm so stressed out. You can't rest in this game. You know what I'm saying? You cannot rest. I mean, every other day there's something going on. Good Lord! I mean, this is what a game we play around here. All right, there you go, folks. The things we learn. Nonetheless, okay, I'm getting private chat messages. I'm getting text messages now. This is
call me female Blake Christian. I feel like that's not.
Wow, that's a little much, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if Shoot's got that production level in his bag, I have to say. That's a pretty cool video. That's pretty fucking awesome. I guess it would make sense.
Not over it. Please don't.
It was not overbooked, though. Well, what was I going to say? I guess we should start there, right? Mercedes Mone.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say it correctly? Mone.
It's Monet.
Monet.
I've listened to her a million times because every time she says it, it sounds just like money. So I want to say Monet. I feel like Mercedes Mone sounds better.
Monet.
It's so weird. I don't.
The theme is incredible because I didn't watch when we watched the show. I had the theme really low because we were watching it on the air, and then afterwards I rewatched it and I was like, that's a weird theme. And about 2 hours later, I was doing something in my head. I could keep hearing it. Like it was
all the time. It's very catchy. She just released it on Apple Music and stuff, and I was like, let me give this a listen. Yeah. It's not the full song is not good. Like it's just the same thing over and over again. I was like, well, to be fair, that's a wrestling theme, but I at least thought that there would be more.
Yeah, I don't know. It popped me. When we kind of locked this show in, it's been a couple of weeks. Right? I couldn't do last week, and we had Christmas before that, and New Year's and such. But when we locked this in, I said to you, I was like, we don't know what the topic is going to be by the time this show rolls around. The Mercedes business could change dramatically. Mm-hmm. Before we get into what did or didn't happen, this time yesterday, did you expect? Wait, what happened?
We'll get into the hair lore.
We will. Okay, good. I'll make a note of that. I want to know first, this time yesterday, did you expect Mercedes to show up on Dynamite?
No. Once they announced Tony, I was kind of like, okay, over it. Mm-hmm. I can see why people would not be over it. You know why people would still be hung up on it. And it does make sense, but I just think it was a very shocking turn of events because I remember we were talking before, we were basically concluding once they announced that date, we were like, oh, it's a given basically. And once the New Japan thing, everything was like green light. And then Dave dropped a report. He was like, she's not coming. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
He's such a bad bitch. I mean, am I wrong though? Do you know how cold you got to be to just sit there? The way he sat there like this with his mic, this not happening.
It just to me, it was just like I didn't even consider that as a possibility that she would just do just New Japan. I was like, oh, and she said World Tour too. I was like, okay, we'll do this week, next week, AEW.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so when they did the Toni Storm thing, I still thought she was coming in. I thought Shida was going to take Toni out. We talked about this on one of the shows last week. The Dave thing was a big shift for me personally because I was like, he was very, very bullish. There was not much wavering in Dave. Usually he'll be like, maybe, maybe not. He was like, no, not happening. Everyone says not happening. And as much as
Will even tweeted 100% too.
Yeah, which was that last week? It's like it was not like it was a long time ago.
It was last week. It was last week.
So, as much as I wanted to, because it was funny, be like, "Oh, Dave's cooked. He doesn't know what he's talking about." I was thinking, he's too he's too much of a veteran to make that mistake, because he'd have got dunked on. So I kind of got the sense it wasn't happening. And then when the show started going unraveling, I was like, "This isn't happening tonight. There's no sense it's happening tonight."
Yeah, I also think that. I think it was going to happen, and I think something happened. That has to be what happened, because there's no way that they did all that build up and they booked themselves into that spot. Because if it was going to be Toni Storm, because it could be Toni Storm, if you look at it and you go, okay, well, they're building up for her return, it makes sense. If you're going to do, okay, we're going to announce the match. She was champion and she's coming back for her first match. It makes sense to do it that way. But if you were going to do that in the first place, then you wouldn't have done all the boss stuff and all the Sasha thing in general. So it didn't make sense. I thought that if it was actually going to be Toni and they would have known ahead of time, they would have dropped more clues for it. And the fact that they didn't do that makes me think that it was going to be Mercedes and they had to make a last minute decision.
I would agree. And also the other note on that front is they didn't necessarily promote the match as like, who is Saraya going to pick? It was very much mystery partner was the term they used, especially initially. I think Toni may have just misread this one front to back, because I think we're going to quickly kind of, as things unravel throughout the year, I think it's going to become clear he may have just got this one wrong. I think he may have overestimated his position in negotiation because of the New Japan thing. And I think in the end, Meltzer's kind of, take of like, she's going to do stuff for New Japan and then head back, I think in the end will probably be proven correct.
Oh, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if she can even head back now. There's always going to be that.
Indeed.
But that was my idea, is that she's going to want to do New Japan Stardom stuff. Maybe she'll do an AEW appearance. I feel like she has to make at least one appearance, even if she doesn't sign a contract. If she does a 2 or 3 match thing, I think she would do it just because she knows that it would pad her resume.
Yeah. It's a cool legacy thing, right?
Exactly. Sure. Yeah. Obviously this is a Jamie Hayter match. I personally want the Jade match, of course.
Yeah. A lot of those. The Riho match, the
I think a Shida match would be really
Shida match. Damn, I'd like to see her wrestle Red Velvet. I know it's not like a big match, but I'd like to see those matches.
Yeah.
My thing is, and I'm just talking as a fan here, and I'm not by any means as big a Mercedes fan as you.
Forbidden Door is probably the best option.
That's a good one, yeah. I think Mercedes is awesome, but obviously you're a bigger fan, on a personal level. But as a fan of just wrestling, I just thought it'd be more exciting to see her in a fresh setting. We're going to get that in New Japan nonetheless, but having both was really intriguing. But either way, before we get into the New Japan part, how big a blow do you think this is for AEW if indeed she never comes in? Is it one of those things where we're in the bubble, we're overthinking it? Or because in fairness, the crowd booed last night when the lights went out, but they were very quickly back on board with the show. Yeah. It wasn't like it was like a mass sort of, but it did feel like an L in terms of perception to me. What do you think for AEW?
I feel like temporarily it's going to feel like that. I feel like there has to be some possibility that she eventually ends up doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea, I think Toni would jump on this if she can do Forbidden Door and you can do Jade versus Mercedes at Forbidden Door. I think that's the ultimate women's match for Forbidden Door, and they struggled to do a women's match last year, like we knew. Yeah. So I think it makes perfect sense, and I think it's a way for Toni to actually capitalize on this mistake. If anything, I feel like it does build hype to the possibility of that happening. But I don't know. It's a temporary thing because I feel like they may have some more other opportunities possibly if WWE does sell to
undo this sort of
owners.
Yeah, for sure. I do, I think it's worth. I think Mercedes Mone is in a fine position regardless because she's obviously a superstar. But I do really feel for some of the free agents who are coming up here shortly because, like, it's brutal. Like, I know, there are some folks that are really bummed out about the Vince thing just from a purely selfish point of view, and God bless them, where it's like, fuck, like, there's no bidding war now because I don't want to go work for Vince, and he could, for all we know, I think a lot of people believe he's not going to just come back and sell the company and move on. I think a lot of people think he's sticking around, and it's very ominous and it's a big factor in any kind of negotiation right now, which is a shame for the wrestlers involved. But
yeah, I feel really bad for all the wrestlers who decided to head back to WWE.
Yeah.
And like now you have to go work for the same person who fired you again, even though you're not working directly for him. You still are. Like that's a really big mindfuck. Especially like William Regal.
That's tough. Yeah, that's a real tough one. That's because he's not someone who can just kind of go under the radar as like one of the wrestlers. Like, he's got a major office position that is as great as he is, I'm sure, at the job, or will be. It is contingent on Triple H being the main man, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, it is worth noting that even if you take the Vince part away, a sale is going to be, dangerous waters for a little bit regardless, right? If there's a sale to anyone, and even if it's a sale to like NBC and Vince says, I'm stepping back, there's still going to be movement made internally. There just is. Guys people are going to lose their job. It's a scary time, and hopefully everyone comes out of it okay. An exciting time for New Japan though, on the Mercedes front, because she's immediately done business for them, right? She's moved a lot of tickets for the San Jose show. What do you think, firstly, about the decision to do it in San Jose? Now that she's not in AEW, it makes more sense than before, right? Like, because if she was in AEW, I was kind of thinking, why do a US match when it kind of muddies the waters? Now that she's New Japan only for now, would you think it's the right call to have her first match be in the States?
I think definitely. I think the Cali thing too really works for her.
Yes.
Obviously, I think she should have a Massachusetts match, but I don't know how you're going to sell New Japan tickets in Massachusetts. That's kind of crazy. But
she's a pretty big name. She might be able to do it.
Obviously, she can, but New Japan in general is probably going to be a harder sell in terms of.
For sure. Areas. I just mean they could maybe promote something like singularly around her,
Oh, yeah.
I don't necessarily know what the match would be, because one of the things that's interesting about this is in terms of star power, this is the biggest match for her in Japan, right? I mean, obviously there are people that are more aware of the Joshi scene could cite bigger matches, maybe like on a sort of artistic level. I don't know. I'm not educated enough on it, but star power wise, Curry is the biggest name.
Yeah.
So the one thing I don't like about this move, this is nothing to do with Mercedes, but I just thought it was a mistake. I'm stunned they're doing a New Japan US pay-per-view for this. And I know I've bought enough of them to know all of their US shows are on pay-per-view other than the tapings that are aired in about 8 years' time. But you just got all of these new subscribers for New Japan World. It's like, surely you keep them for February by putting something on in February on the same platform, And it's like, it isn't a huge price point. I think it's $20 for this show. And I'm certainly going to watch it. I'm really excited for it. But it's like, man, it feels like you're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face there in some ways, right? It's like, keep them on New Japan World, but I don't know.
Yeah. Mercedes, I think Mercedes knows she better wrestle her ass off in this match.
Oh, yeah. She will. She will. There's no way she's bombing in this spot. We both know that. There's no way.
I know she's not going to. It just needs to be like the match of her life, and that's like a lot of pressure for her right now.
Sure. And it is, I mean, the kind of, obviously the elephant in the room is when this match comes around, Mercedes won't have wrestled for what, 9 months?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Well, she's wrestling. She is wrestling.
For sure.
She's training a lot, but she's not like in front of crowds and stuff. And that's a crowd shift for her, which I think will be interesting too.
I can't wait. I have to say, like, this is what I mean by, as a fan, just wanting to see her in a fresh setting. It's just exciting to me. Like, I have no doubt it's like if Sasha Banks comes back to WWE, I know the match is going to be great. I'm aware of it. I've seen it before, but it's like I have no problem rewatching that stuff. It's just this feels like a complete mystery. And also, lest we forget, this isn't just a mystery from Mercedes' point of view. This is a one-off in like wrestling history because New Japan and women's wrestling has never been a thing. So it's like you have this megastar going from WWE to New Japan willingly, and it's a female megastar. It's like, fuck. It's an interesting situation, and we're going to see weird kind of quirks to it. You know, when this show comes around next month, Sasha Banks fans, Mercedes fans, I should say, are going to expect her to be the main event. And I don't know if New Japan's like internal mindset will view it that way, whether they should or not. I think we both think it should be the main event, but I feel like
they sold tickets around her. I think that she needs to be the main event.
I agree. But do you not think there's a chance that like the fucking folks in the New Japan office will be like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, they've announced an IWGP title match, so I don't think that I think that will close. And it's an interesting. I mean, even the match at the Tokyo Dome was interesting in that regard, right? They give it like 5 minutes. It's like, fuck, like, that's kind of wild, you know? But it's exciting. How many times do you think, just this is pure guesswork, we're in January, but I'm intrigued. How many times do you expect Mercedes to wrestle in 2023? This is interesting because this is very hard, I think.
I'm going to go like 6 max, to be honest.
6 max. Wow, that's interesting. So
I think she's working even a Brock Lesnar schedule.
When she goes back, if she goes back, yeah.
I would think so, yeah. I would think that like I would guess she would go back by September.
Yeah, SummerSlam would be when I'd look at. So yeah.
Yeah, I think she would do like it's not a sabbatical, an excursion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would basically be an excursion for her. And then I think she would do like 6 match. She would need to be portrayed differently, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, that's another thing that we're kind of we're trending towards here that intrigues me while we're on the topic is like, and I don't mean this to disparage any of the women that came before, 2015, because all of them worked their absolute arse off and did the most they could. But we're going to trend something different here with like the horsewomen entering a different part of their career, right? And like for the longest time on the male roster, we've had this situation where there's like a never-ending wheel of like people that just come in for the big shows.
Yeah.
And it absolutely feels like in a couple of years we may be there with like the top female stars of this last block. And it's like the idea of like the horsewomen like being around for the big shows but not the TV is kind of like it's kind of jarring. But it feels like it may happen soon.
I think that works best for everyone except Bayley right now. I feel like Becky, Charlotte, and Mercedes all could do it right now.
Agree. Yeah.
I think Charlotte doing it even makes sense, to be honest. I feel like with the amount of championships she has and stuff like that. Becky could pull it off. She kind of did it for a little bit where she was like champion, but she wasn't always like fully there.
Yeah.
I also think that the roster is in a good enough place to do it right now.
I agree. Yeah. It's a weird one because I think we're both certainly fans and admirers of Bayley, but she does feel different. And I think a lot of that is her own selflessness. I don't think that's like an indictment of her at all. She just doesn't present herself that way, right? And like now, to be clear, I'm not calling the other women in that scenario selfish because certainly not all of them are. But Bayley is like she's very understated in her role, and she's happy to kind of spotlight others in a way that will probably hurt her in that regard. But I don't think she cares. She's doing her gig and she's enjoying it. But I agree. I feel like
she's a legend though, so I don't even think that like it's gonna affect her like that much.
She's a legend for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because at some point, like it must be like, okay, I've held all the championships. I don't need to have 15 title reigns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the people like Charlotte who like, I'll take all the titles. It's all about personality.
It is. Like I know we do a lot of bits regarding the famed all caps. But did you actually see her interview about this? This was actually quite interesting. I've been doing a genuine podcast segment here. It's not a bit. But she was like, they asked about Liv winning the belt, and she was like, it's fun to see new people because it's been like the same person a lot. And she was talking about herself. She was like, I don't really want to be like the champ. I would like to work with the champ and do character stuff. But she's like, I don't really have any interest. And I think, I don't want Alexa to talk for Bayley, but I would not be surprised if Bayley is not like desperate to be, like, let me be champ again for a year. It's like, I think you get to a point, you've done that. You've done all the media that comes with that. You've done all the, the power shows that come with that. It's like, let me just do my thing. Let me paint my own picture over here. So that next generation has got, I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, like, they got a lot to live up to, right? The next crop of like top female stars. Because Bianca she feels like the next generation, but she's older than some of the horsewomen, right? She's older than the Mercedes for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think Rio is definitely in that lineup. I don't know who else will be up next. It'll be interesting.
I think that pretty soon you can count Liv in there. I feel like Liv needs a more solid title run.
Yeah.
Which is going to be hard to do while Charlotte's there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Let's have her beat Charlotte, which could be the Mania match. I know you want to talk Mania matches later.
Yes, it's a good transition, actually. Let's do that now. Before we do this, there's some news here. Some breaking news on the women's wrestling front. PW Insider reported that Beth and Edge are set to come back at the Rumble. I don't think Rhea is winning the Rumble. That's, that being the WrestleMania destination for Rhea would be unfortunate, but on a personal level. But I mean, I'll be fine. Beth and Rhea would be cool, I guess.
What do you bet than Rhea?
I mean, I guess, yeah, because remember the last time they like killed Edge and
I know, but they would have to do some intergender stuff with her at Mania, though.
Yeah. Did you see? I think Kofi Kingston predicted that she's going to win the IC title this year.
I did see that. Yeah.
He's absolutely correct.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a good prediction. I think that will happen. Maybe not, he said the IC or the US, probably the US, because I think Gunther's probably going to have that belt for a while longer yet. I mean, Gunther and Rhea Ripley would be pretty good, but nonetheless, let's talk about a couple of other things. We're kind of on this topic anyway. So let's talk Charlotte first. I know you want to talk about babyface Charlotte Flair, who has added to her arsenal with that incredible forward handstand clothesline thing that she's doing, which is incredible. What do you think? The latest version of the Queen bow down Charlotte Flair?
It pains me to admit, but I'm a Charlotte fan. I don't know what happens, but anytime I do stand Charlotte. I don't know. I follow her on Instagram, and her life just looks like so peaceful outside of wrestling. Like, I don't know. Like, she seems to be like an actual villain, like on TV and stuff like that, but I really don't think she's like that bad behind the scenes. And I really think people are out to be worse than she is. And
good.
I value her genuineness.
Yeah. So. I think she's probably a little bit political. But I don't give a fuck about wrestlers being political. I mean, I actively encourage it. I think, how do I put this? There's a lot about Charlotte Flair that I respect, appreciate. I really struggle to find her interesting on TV. Maybe I need to follow her on Instagram and look at it through this lens the way you are. But I
think that's part of women's wrestling, though, for some women, though. I think it's like...
Oh, I get it.
It's like part of the personality. That's why Total Divas was such a big hit, obviously. So I think that's just like part of the thing. And I think that this new version of Charlotte is working because it's a more like grassroots version instead of it being like forcefully pushed. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think that she was expecting to go out and get cheered the way that she did. She probably was just gonna be like, if I get booed, we run with it. If I get cheered, we run with it.
It's interesting because I don't think her connection with the audience is not as deep as some other wrestlers, right? Some wrestlers have like true ride or die hardcore fans. When Charlotte was gone, there wasn't even much talk of like, where is Charlotte? Because people kind of just, but I will say, and I've said this before, and it's like, I'm not, speaking out of turn, this is just the truth. The audiences do react to her, certainly. The question would be, what do they do when you put her opposite someone else they like? That's always been the issue historically, right? Yeah. Like, she'll get cheered as a babyface when she's wrestling Natty, maybe. But then, I don't mean that as a knock on her. When Natty was like the heel champ and Charlotte was chasing her, they did that for a while, 2017, something like that. But then when you put Becky as the heel, it's like, fuck, now we have to flip them. And it's just, that'll be the challenge here. On SmackDown, she's in a nice spot because, unfortunately, that division is, that's what that division is. Yeah, so... Unless it's Liv, I don't see who else they'll even put opposite her. Speaking of such, let's kind of look ahead to Mania. So we assume Bianca is working a lecture at Rumble, right? We assume. Hopefully it's better than their Raw match. Charlotte at the Rumble, do we have any read on what she's doing? I haven't been too up to date on SmackDown. Do we have any idea yet?
I didn't watch SmackDown, I'm not going to lie. I know she had a match with, who was it, Raquel maybe? Probably?
I think it was Sonya.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely Sonya.
Yeah. Raquel wrestled Ronda before, they did the Remember?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on SmackDown. Chat, please tell us, chat, if there's any update on that front. I'd assume something with, I don't know if they're going to do more with Ronda, Shayna, I don't know. But nonetheless, I would like to get your read on like WrestleMania destinations. Because Bob and I did a show.
I like what somebody just said in the chat.
Don't have an answer. Jaychele, how do you feel about the idea of heel Naomi? This is a popular suggestion for a Charlotte Mania opponent. And Bob is saying heel Asuka should jump and face Charlotte. I don't know, man. I feel like we've done enough Asuka Charlotte forever. I feel like we can move on.
One, I want to know if they're actually going to do a draft or not.
After Mania, I think.
That's so long, but it makes sense.
It's been so long already. You might as well wait now.
I know, but it's like, damn, like. Should did a draft, but I like the heel Naomi idea.
Bob and I did a show. We predicted the Mania card.
I saw that.
Well, we kind of guessed the Mania. It was like a prediction, fantasy book, and it was a mix of both. Mm-hmm. And our women's title matches ended up being Bianca and Charlotte, Rhea and Becky.
Okay.
Now, this would require some sort of, flipping of belts to go on, right? Like you'd have to get you'd have to put like the Raw belt on Becky or Rhea, and then Bianca would go across. But my issue was, Jaychele, was what if Charlotte is not wrestling Bianca? What is like a big WrestleMania match for Charlotte? And we kind of talked about Liv. We was like, it's hard. I couldn't, if it wasn't Bianca Belair, I was trying to figure out who's a nice match for Charlotte on a big Charlotte WrestleMania, and I was struggling personally. What do you think?
Well, they were going to do Becky for that, right? They were going to do, they were going to do Becky Ronda. Yeah. So they're not going to do Ronda anymore. I guess you do Charlotte Becky. But that's boring. And I don't know, unless you play it up to them hating each other again, and you
could do that again.
It's like, I don't know, but that's even it
just feels like a retread, right? It feels
it feels like a rerun.
See, this is kind of my issue with, like, we're going back now. It's my fault, but it's like, this is kind of my issue with Mercedes going back. It's like, I absolutely respect the decision if that's what she does. But then I kind of get to this point and I'm like, I feel like she's wrestled everyone.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. Make that money, God bless. But it's like, it's the same thing. And like, I think Naomi's awesome. But do we really think Naomi's going to be gone from May all this time and she's going to come back and get put into a title match? Like that, I don't know. I don't personally see them doing that based on everything they've ever done with Naomi.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm for it, but I don't know.
I'm trying to think if there's like anybody like a Mia Yim, but I don't think that they would give Mia a title match at Mania.
There's also like just being, I mean, I love Mia Yim. There's not enough time at this point. You need you need someone with a certain level of cachet, right? Like you can get to that in a couple of years, end of this year, whatever. Mia's obviously talented enough. It's not a reflection of her talent. It's just you need, star power.
Mia could only really win. I mean, could only do that match if she won the Rumble. I feel like.
Yeah. Which would be like a big leap for her. Yeah, huge leap.
I think they could do it, like, in terms of, like, have her get a couple of wins right now and then just have her win the Rumble. I feel like it could work in terms of, like, getting her the support. I don't think they will do it, though.
Yeah.
But
it would pop me. I love Mia. This is interesting. Naomi in the bloodline would be an interesting element if she's a heel.
I feel like we've said that for so long, and I feel like they would have did it already, and I feel like the bloodline is going to come to an end soon. Anyway, around that time, hopefully.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
but
I don't know. It's difficult, and I think Bianca and Rhea is kind of the natural match in a lot of ways. The only reason we didn't pick that is because then I was left with nothing for Charlotte to do, so I switched it and put Becky in the Rhea spot. Rhea against Rhea.
I would think like. If you want to do like remember when Charlotte like challenged for like the NXT title or whatever? If you want to pull somebody up from NXT, I would think the only person who would be ready enough is like Kaylee Ray.
Yeah, I'd agree. I honestly can't believe that she's not like up already.
Yeah, I think that she would make. I was thinking of like Roxy, but like that's so early for her to be on Mania. Like if it was like a Rumble match, maybe, but like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The other match we had was we did Asuka and Io on Mania, and reluctantly we put Bayley with Dakota. And the only reason we did that was because Asuka and Bayley is something they've done a lot, whereas Asuka and Io is still a fresh singles match, right? It'd be a cool thing to have on WrestleMania. But
Why don't they do Bayley and Charlotte? With
they could, yeah. I don't know. Does that excite you? It doesn't do much for me. I don't know why.
It doesn't like ring my bells, but like
it's just fine. I get you. It's fine.
It's an option, I guess.
It is, yeah. I'm trying to think if they've run that with Bayley.
I think it'd be interesting though, because Bayley has the backup now. They can actually kind of paint Charlotte as a babyface, which they really can't do if it's like another like live.
Okay, so the pitch would be Bayley would like win the Rumble and move across, I guess.
Yeah, we can go with that. I mean, that works.
Okay,
yeah. I'm trying to think of other options, and Bayley does the best option anyway. So
no, I'm with it. Yeah, so we do Bayley. We slide her across with Damage Control. Damage Control already on SmackDown basically because of the belts. So you have that with Charlotte. Who is then your match for Bianca? Is it Rhea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's Beth, I guess now, but yeah, I would say Rhea.
Then what does Becky do? She's really in this division's more interesting than the men's.
She would work Alexa.
Spooky Alexa. I think Alexa. Honestly, I think Alexa and Bray are wrestling Cross and Scarlett. Like, I would bet good money on it.
That does sound right. That sounds spooky, pitch black, dark match.
Yeah, and it's like it does so many things at once for Triple H because it takes like two tops, like names, and puts them in a match, but it also gets his little project on the show too. Like it's such all shit. It feels like what they'll do. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Monty sent me her segment from Monday. Jaychele, Alexa's one. He's such an asshole. Why does he send me these things? Did you see it? I said no, I didn't see it. Monty he sends me it. She's doing like an actual human heel promo. And it's like this is pretty good. And then fucking Uncle Howdy comes out. And they cut away. I was like, why is he sending me this?
Uncle Howdy. Who is
I guess it's Bo Dallas, I guess.
Are you for real?
Yeah, apparently.
That's so bad.
I don't know.
I actually like that idea of the triple threat. I don't hate that.
Rhea, Becky, and Bianca, yeah, that'd be a great match. I'm not a big triple threat guy, but that would definitely be a great match. Yeah, so she's doing this promo and she's like, I am in control, not the Uncle Howdy or the Fiend. And then Uncle Howdy comes out and he like gestures towards her. And she does like a scared face and it just cuts to an ad. And they come back and never explained it. I can't believe I'm saying this is actually what happened to KJ. So Alexa is standing on the announce table, right? She's talking shit. She says Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy comes out. He has a mask on. He gestures like this or does something like that behind the lights. Alexa looks scared. Cut to an ad break. They come back from the ad break without any reference to this, and Damage Control just come out for a wrestling segment. And it's like,
I like this show.
It's like, where wasn't there just a guy called Uncle Howdy here? There's no one worried about that. Is Corey Graves not scared? Where did Alexa Bliss go? She was standing on the announcer. Did she leave? Is she scared? Has she left the building? Is she going to fight Uncle Howdy? Did she go with Uncle Howdy? Does she know who Uncle Howdy is? Is Uncle Howdy real, or is it simply a figment of our imagination? Should he be in prison or something? I don't know. He seems kind of creepy to me. He's called Uncle Howdy, and there was a fucking playground on the screen. Are we worried about this guy? There's kids in the crowd. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying?
Alexa could be considered a child.
She's very small.
She could be confused for one, yeah.
Someone should...
She plays with dolls.
Yeah, someone should be worried about these things, but no one brings this stuff up. Anyway, nonetheless.
So, who do you think is going to be the women's tag match, if you think there is one?
I'm sorry to say that Bob and I did the very lazy fatal four-way gimmick, which they do every year. We came up with the following. We had Dakota with Bayley, because again, the EO's just announced. So Dakota with Bayley versus Liv and Tegan versus Ronda and Shayna versus Raquel and Shotzi.
I'm so mad.
Could you imagine going out to Bayley with that match? Like, good luck. Put it together.
That's so bad.
I don't know. What do you think? What's the best like version of this thing?
I would do, since in my head there's no singles match for EO, because I think we'll just have her do the tag belt thing. Damage Control versus Casey and Kaden as a call up, and then I think you do Shotzi and Tegan, and I think you do something else with Liv. I think you give her a singles. Honestly, if it was up to me, I would give Liv a singles match against like Mia Yim or something like that. But I don't know how you would make that happen. But even if that's on like a pre-show or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, I would do like a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
Those three that I just named. Yeah.
Would you like me to read some other matches that we booked?
Yes.
Theory versus Edge.
Okay.
This was my one. This is mine, folks. Braun Strowman versus Ricochet.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Of course, we have Alexa and Bray versus Cross and Scarlett. This one was actually good from Bob. The Hurt Business versus the Brawling Brutes. Now that was pretty good.
That's a big brain play.
Yeah, that's big. I responded with, what about the Street Profits versus the Good Brothers versus Otis and Gable versus Bronson Reed and The Miz?
Why Bronson Reed and The Miz?
I don't know, it popped me. Bob was like, well, you could put DIY. And I said, well, yeah, we could, but it'd be funnier if we put Bronson Reed in it, really.
Good. DIY should tag again.
They should, yeah. It's the best spot for them on the main roster.
You know who I feel really bad for?
Who?
Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
They just do nothing with her. She's just a job. She's just a jobber. She doesn't talk much. She don't even have a character. She comes on the screen and just like Johnny. I don't understand.
She's just a loser. There's no. I'm a firm believer in the idea that I think some wrestlers are a better fit on certain stages than others, and it just doesn't work for me. Like Candice is real. She's a fun performer, but like when I see her on Raw, it's like I don't think this is where she needs to be. Honestly,
I know she can like wrestle, but like right now in her current incarnation, she gives me like Kylie Rae.
I think Kylie Rae is a considerably better fit for that stage than she is. Just being real.
I know, but I'm saying like in terms of like the presentation, that's just
yeah. She's just like a bland babyface, basically, exactly. Right? But Kylie has more energy too, right? Like Candice is kind of. I mean, the truth is, Candice is there's certain things in her game she can't do there, and I just think it's very. I mean, she was good in NXT, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think of why it doesn't work.
She was good with the way. I feel like that was when she was lit. But she's not even getting time to talk. Like she's not getting any like material. It's just like she's getting put in matches, so there's nothing to even build a story for her. Yeah.
It's hard because he's brought back so many people that you have inevitably people just get slotted in and they don't get time to like, as you said, they don't get time to find a character. Yeah. But it's like, unfortunately, Candice needs that time because without it, she's just, as you said, she's just kind of out there losing. Like she has no hook. Like if you put Mia Yim without any, I mean, she has the OC thing kind of, but if you just throw out there cold, like Mia Yim has like a cool vibe, right? Like she feels like kind of badass and she's got like an edge. So she can kind of stand out on her own. Candice is just, she's just out there, man. It's hard. It's difficult. All right, that was fun. Okay, now I want to quickly get to this before we've been, my God, we'd have done 40 minutes on this topic. I messaged you earlier, Jaychele. I said, what do you want to talk about today? You said, let me get the exact quote on this. I don't want to misquote you. You said, and I quote, I want to have an Anna Jay / Sky Blue / Cora Jade combo, which felt like a threat in a lot of ways. Would you like to explain to me what that conversation is and like how all three of these women are kind of under this collective umbrella?
Yeah. So yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, I sent out a tweet that I said, is Anna Jay really bad? Give it to me straight. Which is where multiple gritters responded by saying yes, saying that she's getting progressively worse.
That's mean. That's really mean. Okay, I need to, before you go any further, I need to make it clear. There's been a lot of Anna Jay slander on this platform from the Young Lions in particular, who, you were right, they're not to be trusted with this platform. But I will say this before we go any further. I have no issue with the Anna Jay. And better yet, last night's match apparently was fucking crazy.
I heard. I saw. Yeah. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. So I think this will shift the discourse some. You know, the haters like Young Dukes will be silenced. But she has plateaued some. For the sake of conversation, I will concede on that front. Please proceed with your hypothesis.
So I sent out that tweet. I was gathering some data for my research, and then I began to remember the comparisons that have been made between Sky Blue and Anna Jay, right? Mm-hmm. So then I was thinking, I was like, is there some way we can make an equation with Cora Jade, Sky Blue, and Anna Jay?
Yeah.
You know how there's like the greater than equal to signs and less than signs? I was thinking we could use some of those to put together a equation for who is best to worst out of those three.
Okay. Now, this is interesting because I think it's fair to say none of the three women as of yet are like the complete package. So they all have pros and cons, and they're all new and they're all finding their way. Here's where I'll lead. I'll start with this, and we'll see if we kind of agree or disagree. I think Sky Blue is the most interesting prospect right now, which is kind of crazy because a year ago I would have said she was the bottom of the three.
Yes.
The reason I would say that is she is progressing at like a noticeable rate, and he's like legitimately each match it feels like she gets better. And her biggest issue before
the finish with Jade.
Oh, great finish. And the match was good too. Like it wasn't like they attached a great finish to a weak match. The match was good. She's not just getting, but to me, the biggest issue she had was her confidence. She seems to have overcome that. The other reason I'd pick Sky first personally is her biggest weak spot is she's not really got any promo, right? But it kind of helps her that she seems so like shy. Because that's kind of her appeal as a babyface, right? Like her appeal is she's sort of like this laid back, shy, quiet babyface character who if you piss her off, she'll fight back and get fiery. So in some ways, her weakness feels like a strength. So that would be where I would lead. Where would you go for the number one seed out of interest?
I'm thinking Sky Blue too. Personally, I hate Cora Jade. I don't know. I just think she's not good. I don't know. I think she coasts a lot on the ideas of what she could be. Like being in a class with Roxanne and everything like that. And like even dating Ron Breaker, I feel like is part of like.
He's very good.
Yes, but I feel like it's part of how we perceive her almost. I don't know. I feel like she gets lots of privileges that aren't right.
Basically,
for her,
she gets paired with like ideas and spots that maybe she's not currently yet belonging in, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get you. So here's another thing with Cora Jade. I can't speak on it with too much confidence because I've only seen a couple matches with her as a heel. As a babyface, I thought she was pretty damn good. As like on terms of her appeal as a babyface, the way she would sell and stuff. Obviously, her work is not smooth, but that's is what it is. It will come.
She's a lot better at being a face than she is being a heel.
That's what. Yeah. So I've heard a lot of different stuff in it. Like I think Oracle said similar to me was what you just said. I've heard other people say she's really unlocked a new kind of like level of her game as a heel. The matches do not sound like they've been like much, but she seems to have got better as a promo. So I don't know.
She has an edge when she's a heel, which works for her, like in terms of having a heel character, but like her match style like doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I feel like her appeal was a lot better because now she just does this and she thinks she's a heel.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of that in WWE, unfortunately. Triple H's number one players just have a leather jacket. There you go.
Yeah. Zoe Stark she looks like she's 40.
Well, she might be. I don't know.
She's like 20 something.
Who is Zoe Stark? She's the one who turned on
Nikita Lyons. Yeah, the blonde one who is like against vaccines or something.
I genuinely am unaware of like how good or bad these people are, folks. I apologize. Let's talk about Anna Jay. Tope's Mercedes' favorite wrestler. So I mean, the work is platonic.
I'll check you.
Yeah, I don't love that part of it. I'll just being honest. It's not my favorite. But I don't want to really.
Impression, Joe.
It's very good, very good. I don't want to overly dock her points for like that part of the situation because that's clearly not her idea. Like that has got Jericho's fingerprints all over it, and she's just doing her best with it. I don't think it suits her personality at all, but she's trying. You can't say she's not throwing herself into it. I mean, she's ridiculous out there. Her facial expressions are insane.
Did you see the video I sent to the group chat with you, me, and Monty?
Yes, the one when she's doing like the celebration when Ty's talking shit. But I kind of liked that though, because it's like she's oblivious, you know.
I don't think that's a good thing for her character.
But what is her character? Like I assume she's supposed to be like insane. I don't really understand. She screams all the time. I don't know. I got the sense she was supposed to be a lunatic. I don't know. Is she like? What is she? I don't know. And again, I don't think this is her fault necessarily. I think we can get carried away docking her points for this. I feel like it's a dangerous road to walk. Is what I'm saying.
You know what I realized? I was like, AEW actually does have like a pretty good women's division.
Yes. Yeah. Also, the usage has actually like genuinely got better. Like post, like Tony Storm becoming. I'm not saying it's great, but Tony Storm's reign to now, it's better. Again, not great, but better.
I think there's a lot of progress from when I started watching, which was when Britt was champion, to now with Jamie Hayter being champion. Jamie Hayter would have never even been considered like championship material when Britt was holding that belt. So I think there's definitely a lot of progression.
The match, part of it is the matches have just got better too, right? Like because the tags, and it's like I'm not
so much better yesterday. I don't know what happened. I did not actively hate it.
Genuinely, she's good in those tag matches. Like it's a real. Like I'm not saying she's Dax Harwood.
Her and Jamie have really good chemistry.
They do. She's good in all those tags generally. Like because people, I get why people do it, but people do the thing where they frame it as like, oh, she got carried. It's like I watching the matches. She's good in those matches with Jamie. Yeah. Again, I'm not desperate to see her wrestle 20-minute single matches, but that's not everyone's role.
You know what?
I think she's been good as of late.
Saraya. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see her wrestle anymore.
She needs to get some rhythm. I don't know. Well, she just looks really like she looks very stiff out there. You know what I mean? It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult.
She did have a boo-boo face. That is true.
I think that's just her face, though, isn't it? She just looks sad all the time.
She was happy when she was holding that title. She
always looks sad.
This in your dream.
I hate that song so much. You don't even know how much I hate that song. But she I actually had to ask. We were doing the grin along last night, Manny and I was like, "Hey, man, is Tony okay?" she looks so sad. I hope she's good. She's an awesome wrestler, but sometimes the biggest thing with Tony, I've said this before, and it's like people think I think she sucks, and so it's like I think Tony's a good wrestler, and I always just think she doesn't put too much thought into her promos and the way she presents herself personality wise. Like she's just cool, right? And that's it. It's like sometimes she'll cut promos, and I just think to myself, I just wish she had a bit more fire, a bit more passion. And I know that that's kind of her vibe, and she's laid back. And what we just said about Sky, it works, right? Like it works to a level. But when she's in a title program, sometimes you want her to really have a big time promo, and she's just kind of yeah, well, it'll be fun. It's like I don't know. It's a weird. I don't mean it as a big criticism. It's just saying that I sometimes think she could do more with just a little bit more attention to detail. That's all. But
yeah, her husband is Looney Tunes.
He's fucking incredible. Unbelievable. He's promo.
He's a lot.
Incredible vibes.
He can't be like that. He's not a real person like that. That's
yeah. He's I said it last night. When Bob first heard him talk, he said he sounds like a kid doing an impression of an adult. I think that's what he said or something like that. Because he has that really weird inflection, and it's incredible. I don't know. I like Josh Robinson. I don't really know what the fuck he's going to do for long term in AEW, but it's not my issue. I just whenever he shows up and he has that tan and he's yelling, and Renee's
why is he rock hard? What does that mean, Joe?
I think it's a dick joke. I don't know.
Is it really? Because why would you make that? I don't understand.
I think he's rock hard. I think it's about cocks. I don't know. You tell me. That's what it seems like. Chat. Tell me. I only know when he said last night. Renee was like, I was like, fair. It's variation. I think it is really good for the show. She's awesome. Yeah. I think it is as hollow as just rock hard pop. Which is very late grin.
What?
Dicks, I don't know.
Are you 13? What?
Yeah. It's a wrestler. Have you ever watched these shows, Jaychele? Of course that's what you would find funny. This is professional wrestling. Of course that would be the extent of the joke. Rock hard, dicks.
Yesterday?
The what match?
The ladder match. Do you like it?
I did. I liked it a lot. I liked it more on second watch than first because the first time I really liked it, but I was disappointed. Just to be real, because I didn't want to get into this last night because I didn't want to kill the vibes, but I was very frustrated with how little time they got last night. And I know everyone's dunking on that on Twitter. They got like enough time. It was a ladder match. I thought that Jericho segment was absolutely like one of the worst segments they've done. And I honestly, just to be real, I muted my fucking Dynamite feed when Ricky started talking about Jake's like speech, and I was like, "Oh God, please no, end it." And that cut into the time, so I was annoyed by that. But when I rewatched it and I accepted it for what it was, I liked it a lot. I think they was capable of more if they had the time to do it. What did you think of it?
Andretti. I like him.
I do too. I just wouldn't have had him cut that promo, you know?
I actually think that he doesn't sound like a robot on the mic, which is a good start.
Yeah. I don't mind his delivery. It's just the tire stuff's just so lame. It's like,
oh yeah, oh obviously, yeah, I didn't like that.
I know, I get it.
I'm saying like in terms of like delivery and like,
yeah, he's confident. I'm with you, absolutely. Yeah. I hate when because that was like,
yeah, I watched Dynamite in full last night because I was still partially believing that Mercedes was going to be there.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of good wrestling on last night's show.
It was good, yeah.
Moxley and Hangman kicked ass. Bryan and Takeshita really kicked ass. Unfortunately, you had the promo I just mentioned. You had this one.
Yeah.
I'm running out of patience with this thing, Jaychele. I'm really running thin on the MJF situation. I don't know how much longer I can do with it.
He's like an anomaly for me because like he like gets upset about like anti-Semitic stuff and jokes, and then when it comes to race, it's fine. And I don't.
Well, I think that's the issue with. It's actually like an interesting topic because I don't think he has bad intentions. I think he just sees it as being a heel, but it's like that's kind of the challenge of being like the heel who also is sincere about his feelings.
I think he's uneducated in a way. I think he thinks that he's just doing it and it's just TV and that it's a character and that you can separate the person from the character. But at the same time, what he's doing is also perpetuating that behavior, making that behavior seem like it's okay by putting it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So within that, there is a personal responsibility that he does have to take, even if it is just him being a character.
I agree. Yeah. And I also think it's a very dangerous thing when you use reality as much as he does, because you're mixing those two ingredients, and I think that's a good mix. My biggest frustration with Max, just plain and simple, as I've said a million, it's the fact that he's capable of so much more. You will never hear me say that guy is not like he's a bad wrestler, because it's the furthest from the truth.
Yeah,
I've seen him cut great promos, and I know what he did last night worked. I know they cheered Takeshi and they booed him. There has to be a better way. I'm sorry, that can't be, because I can go out there and do that. He's better than that. You know what I mean? It's like it frustrates me because he's capable of so much, and I know his response would probably be, again, I think he has good intentions. His response would probably be, I don't want them to cheer me. I'm trying to stop them from doing that by being the biggest piece of shit I can be. But it's like, maybe in that is the lesson, and maybe we should have just let them cheer him all along. You know, like we talked about this months back. It's like, I'll die on that hill if I have to. I think they should have just rolled him as a babyface. People loved him. Just let him go, you know? But whatever.
I think it's times like this when like the idea of like my job in that space makes the most sense, because like even if you as a wrestler feel like it's okay to do that, that does not reflect well on the company either, that the company is okay with them going out and saying that.
Yeah.
Like even from a business perspective, like I don't think TBS wants that. I don't think TBS is interesting because the Dana White stuff and the power slap and everything with that. But I don't know. I think that he knows better, and I think that he's still going to try to get the benefit of the doubt for the situation.
Well, the reason it's an issue is it's like MJF is going to go and do media in character, representing AEW, right? But if part of his character is that he's just like, this just awful, like his character is this, he's like a misogynist, right? It's like, he's a heel. It's like, but he's gonna go and play this character on like talk shows and shit.
He was like, you don't think? I think some of it is like a lot for. He was like, you don't think I can last an hour? Ask your mom. Ask your sister. I was like, I don't think we. I don't. Do you need to go there?
I know, but sometimes I feel like we're on an island because I don't know if you saw the results of the Wrestle Purists thing, but he won that by a landslide. He had like 55% of the votes for best promo. He had, I think, 40% more than Jon Moxley.
I think it's because people remember the good stuff and they forget like the bad stuff, like that. Like
maybe, yeah.
Legendary promos with CM Punk are those are never gonna die.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know.
I think
wrestling is so short term too.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking a step away from the work, like
for sure.
I don't fucking remember anything that happened.
No, I'm with it.
What happened this year? I don't fucking know.
The one thing I would disagree with is I don't think this is like, and not disagreeing with you to be clear, like disagreeing with the consensus. There's a belief that he's just started doing this, and I don't think that's true at all. I think the opposite is the Punk feud brought him out of this in some ways, and he's now just returning to it. Like, because he was good in the Wardlow stuff and the Moxley stuff, but people may forget the first Punk segment, he actually was like embarrassingly low hanging fruit. And Punk said it. And remember, Punk had that line. He was like, "You got any more low hanging fruit?" Because he had the line about like, you look like I don't know, I didn't want to get into it, but he had some like really lame lines. And Punk did the Miz one, and they went back, and it kind of felt like he had to up his game, and he did because he's capable of it. So it's just, I think we're going to see. They have another 2 months to build this fucking pay-per-view match. So good luck. We'll see what they got up their sleeve.
I'm not excited for that match. I don't know. I'm still not a Danielson person. I just don't think that match is.
It's not very interesting to you. I get it.
It's because Danielson doesn't have a character. I feel like part of it is too. That's why it's hard for me to see him in those matches because, like, I was thinking about it when I was watching the match. I was like, his character is his legacy, and that's it. Yeah,
he's one for the sickos like me, really, mate. Honestly, he just likes seeing him whack people. Really, there's not much tip beyond that at the moment. They've also kind of dropped the thing where he wants revenge for Regal. Like, he wins with the Regal stretch, but he doesn't really talk about it. So, I don't know. It is worth noting, like, all bits aside, if MJF beat, like, Roman and WWE guys, it would reflect the purist vote audience. Everyone that was up for that was non-WWE. It was MJF, Moxley, Punk, Eddie Kingston, and Jay White.
Eddie Kingston got no votes.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Eddie Kingston.
That's fair. I love King. I think it was a little bit of a down year from his promos just because the Jericho feud dragged on. That was all. That's anything. And what I mean by that is, it was like if you watch AEW, you had 4 picks in your promotion and Jay White and New Japan, and it's like everyone still went Max. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, God bless. People
enjoying Jay White's going to go to WWE?
Well, I don't know if I believe his deal's up, and I want to be clear in saying that Sean knows what's going on much more than I do. I have a lot of respect for his reporting, but there's something fishy about that situation. There's a loser leaves town match and now both guys, it's like, yeah, they might go to WWE. It's like, it's weird. I'm not saying Sean's been working this, I just think there may be like
what
weird. February something, I don't know when it is, sometime next month. Yeah. My guess is he'll stick around for a little bit, but we shall see. Because the report was soon, right? That was the key. It was just soon. Yeah. It was no time for him. Yeah. Let's close with this here. Hair law. I starred this comment. What is the hair law?
You didn't see how it looked like her blue hair was being burned with the wig?
Oh, yeah. Is that the law? Is that all?
That's the lore. I love that wig.
Yeah.
She changed out of it like 2 days after or so. But like that wig is that's fucking legendary. Like as like a person who like likes wigs and stuff, that's crazy. I cannot imagine like dying. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I love it for her.
Her presentation was awesome at the Tokyo Dome.
I just wish that they could like pop like WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's also the other thing is like the wrestling culture is different, and a lot of the WWE stars aren't like that. Like they'll know who she is, but they won't be like, "Oh my god, it's my favorite restaurant." Because I think someone told me WWE has not been on like TV in Japan for like 2 years now. So it's very much like they have their wrestling. So like people there will kind of know who she is, and some will know more than others, but they don't like, "Oh my god, it's WWE." They're just going, "Oh, it's wrestling WWE's here." You know? So that's part of it too. Wow. Yeah. Because some wrestlers do get like, not so much in the last couple years because of COVID, but some wrestlers do get a pop. Yeah, I'm sure once they see a wrestle, it'll be fine. Nonetheless.
Money.
Factual. Did you see the clip where Dave explains to Brian Alvarez how to say it?
No.
Oh, I've got it. Bob, you had the video. Bob, can you send it in the late night grin chat, please? Because it was just glorious. Dave, like he's in. Oh, bless him. Bless Dave. I hope he did a victory lap last night. I didn't see what he said, but nonetheless, Jaychele, do you have any final words, any plugs, any promotions here before we wrap up?
No.
No. Do you enjoy being able to say no to that question? It seems to be like you enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll tweet stuff every now and then. I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be or anything like that, and it feels very peaceful. I enjoy it a lot more. It's
cool. I'm happy for you, and it's fun. We stop in here, do a little wrestling talk. You know, it's not like this. Right. It can be a lot, as we both know.
It's a lot healthier for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks, I'll be back in 5 hours for the flagship, the Late Night Grin. Myself, Bobby Two Shoes, and the Oracle of Wrestling. I think we're going to revive World Championship Wrestling tonight. That's my plan. Jaychele, you're in black. Could you imagine?
He's going to do that when they get bought by Viacom.
Yeah, that's my pitch. We're going to buy the license. Maybe we'll buy 10 contracts. We'll pick the contract. I got some stuff. I know what I'm doing. You know? I have to prepare for these shows now. Jaychele, they got really bad for a while. Everyone used to be like
again eventually.
What did you say?
The game night. We should do one again.
We should do for You know what would be a good one if possible? The Rumble would be great for questions.
I was gonna say that's great trivia. Yeah, we should do it.
All right, we'll look into that. There you go, folks. Maybe a little bit of a scoop on the air there. Okay, I'll see you for the flagship, latenightgrin.com. You can sign up for just $1. In the meantime, enjoy this outro. Oh wow.